What's up, Soul Fam? What's up, my empresses? Today's video is going to be a fun one, and I'm really stoked about it because we're going to speak about the reason why it is so hard for some of us to create, to actually bring our creations forward, to actually start that business, launch that business, talk about the business, do the training, talk about the training, or create videos, create content, create programs, create circles, whatever that is, or sell your art, sell your product. So last week's video was very much so that hyping that some of us needed, right? We need a good OG pep talk sometimes. But that is not enough to actually help us expand that frequency fence, right? Because when we hit that wall where it's like, I don't know what it is, but I just can't do it, we find ourselves in a frequency fence. And so it takes more than a freaking pep talk and a hype man, or in my case, a hype girl, to get you out of that. So we're going to go into the reason why you feel the way you feel, why you might feel this discomfort around it, why you feel like you can't like push against this wall and expand, why you've been longing to create something, but there's just this sense of like, no, I can't do it. I just can't do it. Or you can't get yourself to do it. Or there are 1,000 excuses in your mind why it's not the time yet. So if you haven't watched last week's video, go ahead and do this right here. Most of us do not express themselves to the fullest, however that might look like. Maybe it looks like you don't dress the way you would like to dress. Maybe it looks like you can't sing fully or enjoy fully, right? Maybe you can't walk around laughing and enjoy because there's a restriction. It may look like you're not sharing your content. Maybe there is this Instagram you would like to make, or maybe you would like to be more active and you would like to bring your authentic creative expression into it. Maybe there's the YouTube channel that a part of you kind of knows you have to do, but you don't want to do it, or it's not the time yet. And again, it could be anything. What we're speaking about in particular is that expressive energy. And that's what you need in order to create anything. Your creative expression is the foundation for your business, for your Dharma, for your soul path. So anytime this is stunted, and again, this could be anything. This could be you not sharing your food, or right, you not talking about the very business you've been creating, you not sharing your services. This all has a similar root. So we're going to go to that root of it today, and we're going to explore how to actually alchemize that. Because again, no freaking hyping up in the world will move you through that wall. It'll get you excited, but when it comes to it and you hit that frequency fence and you hit that trauma or that stagnant charge, this is when inner work is needed. And the OG masculine energy, bam, 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 go ahead and do it kind of talks won't help you through it. So let's start with the basics. So we're all on the same page and we're all using a similar terminology, or at least we have an understanding about it. Let's start with the word charge. Charge is prana, it's life force, it's chi. It's the electric energy moving through your body. And in a healthy system, that life force, that charge is free flowing, right? We have a healthy root chakra, which allows this life force energy to move out of our feet, discharging into the earth. We receive life force charge, right, from the earth, taking it into our root, which allows us to feel very safe. A healthy sacral, right, the divine blueprint of our sacral is a healthy expression. So any charge, emotional charge, because the sacral deals with emotions. So any emotional charge is just easily expressed and discharged in a way where it's easy. Our solar plexus is here for action taking. So the divine template allows us to take action easily on the right thing, right? This forward movement. If it's stagnant, what we'll experience is either the sense of procrastination, like it's somehow like action paralysis, which I think a lot of us can relate to, or it's this overly active where we do a lot of things, right? We break up with someone, we quit our job, and we start this thing, and we say this thing to that person, and all of a sudden we're like, oh, whoa, I should have taken a step back and thought twice before actually moving forward with this. Right? When we experience this, there is an imbalance, there might be a stagnancy, or there's an overactiveness. The divine blueprint allows us to literally move forward in grace, step by step, in an expansive direction that creates upward momentum. When our heart, right, is in beautiful flow, when the charge can flow freely in our heart chakra, what we experience is a giving energy out of the front, and it comes back and it turns into a receiving energy from the back of our heart, right? So it's this torus shape. So in that torus shape, again, when our charge is in beautiful flow and there's no stagnancy, we literally experience this flow of giving and receiving. It's the same process. Now, when we experience stagnancy, our heart can feel numb, or it can feel like we're not able to express joy or feel joy. We're not able to feel love for anything. We're not able to feel excitement or hope or an upward and forward movement. So that happens when energy is stagnant. Our throat is kind of like the bottleneck for all of it, right? So if there's stagnant energy in the throat, it's almost like the whole totality of you can't really express itself. A healthy blueprint, a healthy template just looks like you expressing, right? When there's emotions, you can express them easily, you can process them, you can articulate yourself, you can express your joy without shame, without fear. It's just a spontaneous expression of God when your throat is in the divine blueprint. Now, when this is stagnant, it's kind of like this whole pressure cooker where we can't express our joy, we can't express our sadness. It's being held right here. So that's why I like to go so deep into the throat. And there are 2 videos that go in depth into throat chakra healing. So if you haven't watched these, I recommend them. We're untangling deep stuff for almost like 2 hours or 2.5 hours in these videos. And a healthy charge or a healthy flow of life force in your third eye looks like you are able to receive information. You're able to receive inspiration, right? You're able to see this, oh wow, wait, all of a sudden there's this epiphany and there's a next step for my life. So the crown, I only speak from experience. So with the crown, I am not 100% sure how the crown plays into that. And that's why I'm not going to speak about it, right? I haven't really had a tangible experience where I can say, well, that's how it looks like if the crown is blocked or the energy is blocked, and that's how it looks like when it's open. I'm still experimenting with that, working with that, dedicating myself to it. So as for now, the way it looks like for me, it's I am very clear on my planetary mission. I am very clear on my multidimensional existence. And it's not this whole sense of, oh, I feel like I'm crazy. No, it's very much so embodied, but I'm grounded. Like that for now is the healthy flow to me. So I just gave you the divine blueprint. I gave you the perfect templating of how your charge flows through your body and works with your system when there's no stagnancy. But there are moments in our life when a charge gets blocked or something is stagnant in our system. And that can happen quite easily. So anytime we're hitting this frequency fence, anytime we're feeling this discomfort in our system where it's like, I feel frozen, or I feel really uncomfortable in my body, oh, I can't express myself right now. Like, we've all had that, right? Maybe sometimes it's triggered by certain people where you're like, I just don't feel comfortable with you. I can't be myself around you. Or it's triggered by situations where you're like, oof, damn, I feel really nervous to stand here and give this presentation in front of like 30 people in my classroom. And like, your body does something different, right? It's not that usual, whew, I'm chilling. There's something else happening. And when that's something else happening, that discomfort that might keep you in this frequency fence, when this occurs, that means a charge that was meant to flow freely through your body got stuck somewhere in your system. Now, how does that happen? Certain interactions will create more charge than other interactions, right? If you see, I don't know, your 60-year-old neighbor waving at you saying hi, you're happy, and it creates a charge, but it creates a minor charge. It's like, oh, hey, how you doing? Now, if, I don't know, who do people love? Let's say Ryan Gosling. I don't know. He ain't my type, but he's cute. But if Ryan Gosling all of a sudden was right there waving at you, that might create a bigger charge, right? All of a sudden it's like, what the fuck? Was that Ryan Gosling? Or when you have a small talk conversation versus an intimate, heart-opening, expanding conversation with your partner. The small talk is like kind of like creating no charge or little charge at all. And I always say you can see that in restaurants when you see people and they're speaking like robots and like this, and their face was kind of like this. It's because there's no charge. There's no life force flowing in them. And then you have conversations where you're like, oh my God, I'm just watching the two of you and I get wet. Like, what's happening there? It's like when there's intimacy, there's life force, like there are things happening, creates a bigger charge. So now that can be positive or negative. Let's say, again, we're coming back, you're a child. And now your parents are yelling at you, or your mom get like traumatic situation. Your mom gets, I don't know, beat up by your father. He's an alcoholic, whatever, like things like that happen that create a massive charge in our child body, right? Because whatever it is, could also be something like not as extreme, but it creates a big charge. And now what happens is you don't feel safe anymore. So when we work in the root, it creates either a fight or flight situation, right? There's something happening in the outside field when your mom is yelling at you or your mom is in danger. It's a survival thing, right? If something happens to your mom, like you can't survive without her. Or if your mom doesn't love you anymore, that's a survival fear. So now again, in the root, this will cause an adrenal response, like go mode, fight or flight. Now, as a child, usually we don't have that fight or flight action taking. What happens oftentimes is we freeze because we can go and hit our parents and we can go and run away. So we're kind of like freezing in the moment, and this big, massive charge that would usually be discharged easily if we ran away, right? And we're like, okay, I'm safe now. It's discharged. Or if we started fighting for our life, this massive charge that was built up in the moment is now discharged. Like a good example is if you ever hung out with Russian bratans, like they're freaking best friends, but they drink a little too much and then they get into a fight. But guess what? Like 5 minutes later, they will hug each other and sing songs of brotherhood while one has a blue eye and the other one is bleeding. Like that's actually pretty healthy, I have to say, because they're discharging, right? There's a charge, they're freaking angry, they beat each other up, and they come back and they're laughing and they're singing and everything is harasho. Now, that, again, seems kind of ridiculous, but it's actually really healthy. That doesn't usually happen, right? Again, oftentimes the way we are raised, the environments we're in, whether that's childhood, school, jobs, we freeze. So now this massive charge has no outlet. We're not running away. We're not fighting. We're just like freezing. This is when the energy gets lodged and stored somewhere in your body. It's not going to just evaporate. It's going to be stored in your system. So when you have no way to dance it out, shake it out, or you have no awareness of the tools, that it's not a big deal. Yeah? Like we can go back into it and like shake it out. We can jump into cold water and like literally freeze it out of ourselves, like help it to move. If we don't know these tools, now this big, massive charge is somewhere in our system. It could be literally stored in our root. It could be stored in our womb. It could be stored in our legs. It could be stored in our heart, creating heart walls, what some people like refer to. So now, anytime this happens, right? Anytime there's a charge that is building and we don't have our means to discharge, right? If you're in an argument with your partner and you're just like speaking, and you're saying what's real and you're saying what's true in the moment, there's a discharge happening. Might not always be healthy, right? Sometimes it's like very dramatic, but at least you're discharging. When you're in an argument, but you're just keeping everything that your heart wants to express for yourself, again, we're not discharging. It's being stored somewhere in the system. Now, anytime this happens, we started off like this, right? Fenceless, limitless. And anytime we experience this, our fence becomes a little smaller, right? It's basically with any time one of these charges can't be discharged, they're now creating a prison for us until we're somewhere here. And now we can't move freely because every expansion of our being would trigger some of these stored charges, right? So this is like a typical, like if I think about my grandma, right? She doesn't even leave her house because there is so much charge in her system that is stored in her body. And every time she's expanding, she will be met with the stuck charge, right? The trigger. She will be activated. There's something that will create discomfort. In that, life is asking her to go deep, to look, oh, wait, what's happening? Why is this creating discomfort? Now, of course, my grandma doesn't have the tools. And growing up in war, or a lot of our parents, there was a lot of hardship, so they don't have the tools, or they don't really know how to access that. But these people that you see, and they're very much so in their comfort zone, like they don't do anything out of the ordinary. They don't eat different food. They don't try different environments. They would never quit their job. It's because they had so many freeze responses that it did this. And anytime they do something out of the ordinary, they're basically hitting against the charge. And life is in that moment asking them to, hey, unpack that. Whatever is making you uncomfortable right now is residue from a past charge that you couldn't discharge. So let's move that through your body. But because we're not trauma educated and we're not taught how to move energy, how to work with our life force, a lot of times our parents are literally like stuck in that very narrow frequency fence, in that prison. And so now this is what happens for us. Now you are watching this video, so that means you're here to grow. So that means you're here to expand that comfort zone, because it's not comfort. There's no comfort in freaking limitation. I mean, yeah, for some shadow aspects of us there is, but there isn't, right? You're here to experience the safety of freedom. And so now anytime we get this feeling of discomfort, what's actually happening is the energy is moving a stagnant part, right? The energy, the charge is flowing and it's hitting against something in your body. It's trying to move past a block that was created. So now in the moment, that feels like a little discomfort, right? That's the very moment when we're about to speak, but we're like, oh, this is a little uncomfortable. Or that's that very moment when we're in a room full of people and all of a sudden we feel like we can't be ourselves. Now, what's really important is that we feel this very feeling, that we actually feel into the discomfort. Because what oftentimes happens is then we give ourselves this internal pep talk where we're creating even more pressure, or we're like, what's wrong with you? Or just chill. Like, why the fuck do you react like that? And we have this shitty voice in the back of our head. That never really helped, right? Anytime someone else told us to just get over it or just chill, it doesn't work. That's what I'm saying. With last week's pep talk, it was great, but that's not what's actually going to help us to move beyond that. So that's the same thing that happens when you think about going on stage or going and recording a YouTube or going and creating this Instagram account or sharing your business with your friends, right? There is this moment of discomfort, right? For me, for 4 years, anytime someone would ask me about my profession, what I do, I would literally freeze and just say something like, oh yeah, I'm doing this hypnosis thing. What? Like, I go and alchemize depths that most people are not even aware when me and my women go into session. Like, we hold the space for collective healing. Like, it's freaking life-changing. But all I did was like, yeah, I'm doing this hypnosis thing, and I would freeze and just change the subject. I was hitting a wall. So again, now just pushing through oftentimes doesn't work, especially if the charge is too much, right? If there's too much discomfort, there's no way that in the moment we can just like pressure ourselves into it. So what's vital now is that we feel it. Like, oh shit, okay, wait, what's happening here? Like, all of a sudden my body is freezing. All of a sudden my heart is closing. All of a sudden there's a pressure in my solar plexus. Like, what's happening? And sometimes that's not possible in the moment, but you can go back later and you can sit with it, right? You can come back home and be like, okay, body, let's recreate that situation. What's that moment? What is that discomfort? And then all you have to do is allow yourself to feel it, like fully feel, because your energy will move towards something. And this feeling is vital, because what happens when we have these freeze responses, at a certain time, we can only freeze so much and just hold that charge until we go really numb. Like, it's like our system is collapsing, folding into each other. This is when depression hits us, because we froze so many times and we couldn't discharge that now we just numbed ourselves. This is when we're in the masculine shield. This is when, again, when we feel depressed. It's because we allowed that freezing too many times without ever discharging. And so that's why, if that is now happening, if you meet discomfort, because discomfort is just a sign for you that you're knocking on the door of an old charge that wants to be released. So now go into that. So whatever that might be, right? Maybe you can feel your heart closing a little. And when you feel that, the energy will want to move somehow. So now make this really extreme. Like, if there's a little bit of a clenching in the chest, like, go all in. Like, clench your shoulders, like curl yourself up into a ball. Just allow your body to actually go into the movement that it originally wanted to go, right? Follow it instead of like staying strong like this, like, no, we can't move. Like, follow your body. And so oftentimes when our heart closes, our shoulders go forward and we just kind of like want to do this. No, don't, right? This turtle thing, like, in my shell, I'm safe. Actually allow your body to go there. Or whatever it is, maybe the discomfort is like, oh, you want to just scream, you want to burst, right? If you couldn't express yourself, like, maybe there is the sense of, I just want to scream into a freaking pillow. Do it, right? If you feel this like, I'm angry, go ahead, scream into a pillow, and do it extreme. Like, actually allow your body to go into the movement, whatever it may be. Again, whether that's like you're feeling tightness, but if you go into the movement, it's curling up into a ball, or whether it's you feel anger bubbling up, you go and scream, right? Or if you know how to transmute it with vocal activation, which to me is one of the most powerful things ever, go and sing it out, right? Sing through that blockage, tone for that blockage, see what noise comes out or what tone comes out, and go into it and allow yourself to go into it. Because now you're actually giving yourself room to breathe, right? You're now actually allowing transmutation, transformation. And then slowly your system will be like, hey, okay, I went into this. Now, when was the first time that I ever felt that way? And this is where we're going a layer deeper. Because what is discomfort in the present moment? That's the first layer. The second layer is deep shame, deep fear from a past moment where this initially happened, right? It feels like discomfort in a moment, not that bad, but if we actually like go into that feeling and we amplify it, we see when this originated in this lifetime. So maybe this is when you are 3 years old and you're having a panic attack because your mom's not coming home and you don't know where she is, right? That very moment, that in this present moment is like, oh, it's just a little uncomfortable. I can't really express myself, but it's not fear. It's not deep guilt or shame. When we go into the feeling, we feel it, we move with the energy, and then we ask, well, when was the first freaking time I felt that way? Something will come up. It doesn't have to be the absolute correct thing, just the first thing that comes up. And it's usually something in our childhood or something in our past. And now we can see, oh, wait, the discomfort that was kind of cute in the moment is actually really freaking painful if I trace it back to its roots. Well, that's the second layer. And so now in my sessions, we go a layer deeper, and that depends on where you're at. You can do that for yourself. We go multidimensional because the current discomfort, the past fear or deeper shame is an ancient terror. I can guarantee you that if you're able to go deep enough under every discomfort in the moment, you will find an ancient terror, like something that is devastating beyond your imagination. And that's why no pep talk is going to talk you off the edge. It's not meant to. What it takes is understanding and compassion, because we can tell ourselves in the moment, oh, don't be stupid, it's not that bad. Well, yeah, on that first layer of the present moment, it's not that bad. But what's actually triggered is, number one, the deep fear of your inner child, or the shame of your inner child, or the guilt of your mother. But if we go a third layer, like a layer deeper, there's actually ancient terror lodged in your DNA, lodged in your system. And trust me, anytime when we have the sessions and we go and we trace it back, there are atrocities beyond imagination. Like there are energies of like you speak your truth and you're being raped while your child is being taken away and murdered. Like stuff like that. Or you being chained up and or suffocated, right? That there are heavy ass things that are waiting on the third layer. Now, again, you are ready when you're ready. And oftentimes it takes a safe space or a container to go that deep. And in time, you will learn how to hold that for yourself. But that's the actual transmutation work. And now it makes sense why we hold fear in the moment, or why we get uncomfortable. And that's why it's so vital to never just brush over this and actually go into that, because there is a soul aspect that wants to be freed. There is an energy that wants to be liberated. So no amount of pep talk of like, oh, it's not that bad, you got this, girl, come on and do it, is going to help you to actually like dislodge this ancient pain or terror that is in your DNA somewhere stored. And this is also what's going to create the biggest difference, right? Again, first layer, discomfort in the moment. Well, what am I afraid of? Second layer, discomfort from childhood years or fear from childhood years, pain, shame, guilt from childhood years. Creates momentum and it creates a new life force that is set free. But if we can go even a layer deeper into the third layer, the multidimensional aspect, we can move and set free a lot of energy and actually reclaim a lot of life force. Now, again, the safer your nervous system and the safer your own space is, the deeper you can go. If you need assistance, that's what quantum healing sessions are for. And this is also what my one-on-one sessions are for in my 12-week container. But you can do this on your own if you hold a safe enough space. But I needed to give you this understanding to see that just brushing it over is not honoring what's happening on all of these layers. So now let's get even more tangible. What do I do when this happens? What do I do when I feel the discomfort? Create grace for yourself. Baby steps are the steps to take. Now, just a couple months ago, I was in the car with Alexander and he was freaking going all in. Like, he was singing, he was feeling himself. We were driving through nature. It was just freaking beautiful. And I sat next to him and all of a sudden, like, my whole body froze. And I'm like, yo, I can't even enjoy this moment because I can't express myself. Because all I wanted to do was sing with him, right? Just lose myself in song and just play and express. And I couldn't. And I'm like, yo, this is really uncomfortable. And again, this whole like shaming myself, why can't I? And I started to cry. And he was like, come sing with me. He's like, well, then why don't you, right? Because I'm like, I want to sing with you. And he's like, well, come join in. And I'm like, I can't. And I couldn't. Like, I really couldn't. There was this blockage and I cried for 5 minutes and I'm like, I just can't, right? It was too much of a charge, or basically this charge, this immense charge was hitting this wall and I couldn't move it through. And then so he left the car and the moment I was alone, I could sing. And then he came in and I was quiet again. And I'm like, yo, I want to express myself. I want to feel myself. I want to enjoy a moment. And if I can't express myself authentically, I can't enjoy a moment. So then what I did is I created avenues where I could release a little bit of charge at a time, where I could move a little bit of that stagnant energy in increments. So I booked a voice activating session with Leah Liffrey. If you don't know her, go on Instagram. Oh my God. Like, oh my God. Like, she just is Leah Liffrey. Okay. So with her, I needed someone to hold me. I needed someone to witness me in my song, in my voice. So that was more comfortable than singing in front of Alexander, singing in front of my man. It was like, I don't know why, but it's very uncomfortable. It's not only comfortable, it's painful. Like, I could not express. So in front of her, it was easier. She helped me. We explored my voice. I then opened avenues with my women that I co-create with, my clients. I don't like to call them clients, but the women I work with. So we created these voice activating sessions where we would sing in our safe space and we would allow our voice to come out with all aspects, with all facets, right? So I created these little avenues where I could discharge one step at a time. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to start every day with my voice. So I started in the other room. I took my drum, I got my sound bowls out, and I ripped it and I went all in. And I'm like, let's just move this. And so step by step, I got more comfortable. And now I can express, I can sing next to him. I can feel myself, right? Without thinking of, how am I going to sound like? And what is he going to think? I don't give a fuck, right? I'm in my essence again. That's what joy is. So the same goes for you. If I told you now, well, tomorrow we're going to put you in a stadium with 20,000 people and you're going to advertise your products, or you're going to sing, or you're going to create your art and present your art there, you're probably like, fuck no, there's no freaking way, right? It's just too much of a charge that would be discharged at once. It's not happening. So what we do is, okay, I want to create this YouTube channel, but I'm freaking afraid. Let me start with a video that no one will see, with no intention to ever upload this, and let me just speak. Like, do you know how many videos are on my phone or in the ethers deleted at this point that will never come to light, right? Because I'm like, it took me so much. Like, this is 5 years in the making of me being able to speak in front of the camera and feel worthy and feel safe and feel home. So for you, again, this might start with, okay, this is going to get awkward, but I'm just going to speak for myself right now. Might delete it later. Or that Instagram post, maybe create a new account rather than attempting to break through that wall. Because again, if you have all of your high school peeps, your family, your friends, every random person you ever met in your travels or in a club, if all of these people are all in your crowd, it sometimes is too big of a wall you're attempting to break through, right? You hear all of these voices and every one of them judging you or whatever, and you're like, I don't want to present myself. I don't want to present myself to the public. Well, who is this public? And usually it's like 3 or 4 faces that will come up where you're like, I don't really want that person to see it. Okay, cool. Create a new account. Start off new. Right? Maybe that holds too much of your old timeline energy, but you're a new version. So make it easy for you. Or get into a new app all along. Try TikTok, try YouTube, or whatever it is. If you're afraid to show yourself, maybe start with a podcast, right? That's what I mean. Baby steps. My mom is afraid of heights. Like, she's ridiculously afraid. If I told her, yo, you and I were going to jump up that mountain, she would be like, oh, there's no freaking way. Like, not even a question. Like, just no. But if I move her and we're like, oh, let's try this little hill, she might still cry. She might still shake, but she will go up that hill. So forget about the fucking mountain. Go up that hill, whatever that may be for you. Like, when I first received that drop and that vision of like, ooh, I'm going to be on stage. I'm like, fuck, I would puke and shit myself if I had to do that tomorrow, right? That was 5 years ago or 4 years ago. I had to work up to this, which meant I had to start getting comfortable with even just posting my words. That was uncomfortable. Like, my first Instagram post of me just sharing my words was like, oh my God, I want to puke, right? So I had to build up to a point where now I can quite comfortably speak on stage, and I'm very comfortable on YouTube. My next one is going live. That's still uncomfortable for me, but I'll go there, right? There's no rush. There's grace. So that's what I'm asking you. What are the baby steps that allow you to discharge a little bit at a time? And some of us are hardcore and they're like going all in, and maybe that works for you, but you don't have to do that. Create moments where your nervous system is still kind of stable, just stay destabilized enough so you can expand that container step by step. It's almost like if we gain too much weight at a time, we get stretch marks. But if we slowly grow in size and our booty slowly grows, our skin works with us. Weird example, I just thought of it. But that's how it works. Like, don't freaking try to destabilize your nervous system and put yourself in front of this like crowd of 20,000 people and do shock therapy. You don't need to do that. You can chill. You can record a video at a time. You can go live on Instagram, or you can create a new Instagram account. Whatever it is, you know exactly what that is for you. Baby steps. Now, any questions, post them down below. I am always so excited about your comments, and I also love to see you supporting each other in the comments. Like, it makes my heart melt and expand. Melt might not be the right word. And I have 2 announcements. I am starting our mastermind on 11/22, so November 22nd. it's going to be a 9-month transformational space. Like, this is going to be intimate. And I know I posted the info video and whatnot. In the end, that's just a structure. When we come together, we will create what is needed to go through this transformation. And if you ever worked with me, you know I only know deep and I only know real. And if you haven't, you are invited, if you feel the call. This is going to be an intimate space, so I feel around like 10 women max, because I want to keep it very sophisticated in energy, like clear and pure in energy. And we're already at 6, so if you feel it, come in. It's going to be a potent container. I have all of these things uploaded. In the end, I don't know what we're going to do, right? That's just a structure, and we might just throw this all away and create something, but I know we will create miracles, almost like a mystery school, and something really intimate, life-changing. Like, that's what I'm here for. And the next one, if you're in Sedona or somewhere around, or you want to travel to Sedona, we have a freaking beautiful event around the 11/11 portal. So from November 10th till November 12th, we have Snow Raven here in Sedona. Me and Alexander were creating this fundraiser against child trafficking. We're supporting Tim Ballard's foundation, OUR, the Underground Railroad Project. And if that doesn't ring a bell, maybe you watch Sound of Freedom. It goes towards the children to save them from sex trafficking, exploitation, and just harmful circumstances, right? We got to liberate that. So all of our proceeds will go towards that. And Snow Raven, if you don't know her, oh my God, like, she will come in for a whole day and teach a workshop on shamanic animal sounds, which helps you, or actually gives you access to the consciousness of the animal. When you can recreate that sound, you're immersed with the consciousness of the bird or the owl or the fox. And what kind of sound does the fox make? Yeah. So then she's going to go into a ceremony, and it's profound shit, because that's the way we roll. We'll have primal breath work, we'll have seraphic transmissions, high angelic transmissions, we will go into quantum journeys, we will have dance. Like, it's going to be like chocolata ceremony, like, it's going to be wild. And all of the people we invite are family, like real people, right? People who walk the walk and talk the talk. Like, no more fluff. No more fluff, like the real thing. So if you want to travel, if you're in the Phoenix area, or if you, again, want to fly in, please do so, and help us support that organization. I love you so much, and I will see you probably next Friday. I love you, mi amores. Te quiero mucho.